Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. Let's keep playing. We've got victories to get. I don't know if we're gonna really make it to the Shaman and Warlock section. Let's see, what was the other one I needed? Hunter, let's see if we can get that one out of the knocked out of the ball power real fast. The third recording in this recording session here. I've pretty much run out of things to talk about, sadly to say. I mean, why do I do that? Why would I start an episode and just say, oh, I got nothing to talk about? If I ever ran short of Hearthstone episodes, for some reason, I don't know why I ever would, but if that ever did occur, I have a thought that I could just sit here and play silently and not talk about anything. And maybe I would get away with that. Maybe I would. I mean, that's really where it gets down to the Twitch people that play Hearthstone. Is they're mostly sitting there in silence. Or they're talking to the chat, which is equivalent to sitting there in silence because the chat's just gonna ask the same questions over and over again. And none of the questions are gonna be important or useful information. One of the things that's very strange, I will talk about Lego Batman 3 here for a moment. One of the strangest it's weird about that is all the voice actors changed from Lego Batman 2. Pretty much every single one of them. And the Robin changed. It was Dick Grayson in Lego Batman 2. It's Tim Drake in Lego Batman 3. It may have been a different Robin in Lego Batman 1. So like specific characters don't have the right personalities. For instance, Atrocitus is Cat from the Red Lantern. He is a very odd character. He gives you a quest where you have to keep him from getting hit for, looks like I've got a quitter here. You have to keep him from getting hit for 10 seconds. And so you hear this cat counting to 10 to not lose his temper. While you try to beat up all the minions that's attacking him. And the cat's not speaking English, so it's just meow, 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 meow. And it took a long time to really protect him all the way to 10, actually. Because it just wasn't a very well designed mission. Jeez, I'm gonna win here. Superboy is depicted completely different than he's shown in the Superboy New 52 comics. Supergirl is completely different than how she's shown. They're both depicted as just like teenagers that are kind of ditzy. And there's really not a lot more you can even say about them.
Do you have the artifact? Oh, shoot.
So yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is, why the characters are so off. Harley Quinn actually plays a ridiculously small amount of role in Lego Batman 3, considering how big of a deal she is now in the New 52. This game may have come out just slightly before Harley Quinn became huge. I mean, let's see. Play this. Play this. We'll kill this one.
Get back!
Kill this one. Face. 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 In the turn. Yeah, the penguin sounds very strange. Mr. Freeze, I think, is somebody doing uh, a pretty decent Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation. Robin sounds like Marty McFly from Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox.
They are banned.
So yeah, some of the characters just are weird. That's really where I would say the Lego Batman series kind of fails. It doesn't pull you directly into the DC universe, and the Lego Marvel game was not any better at this really either. And I think there might be a very good reason why it's not trying to pull little kids into that universe, in the fact that it's probably the DC and Marvel universes aren't completely 100% where little kids should be reading or age appropriate. But yeah, I would love if the game sat there and gave you like a full breakdown of the character, what their name is, where they're from, what city they live in, where they got their outfit, where they got their powers, what has happened in their storyline in the latest reboot of the series.
You smell like a leopard.
If it could really take what has happened from the comic books and put all of that in a game, that would be amazing. But it would also be very difficult. You would have very few gameplay mechanics. You'd probably make something like a Telltale game at that rate, where if you were just gonna try and tell the story of every single comic book character, and I guess that would work. There you go, I've won this.
For the king!
I guess maybe that's where the Telltale Batman game goes. I've been wondering about the Telltale Batman game, but I guess that's where it goes, isn't it? You just start Batman at the New 52 stories, and you say, we're gonna go through all those stories. And you have to put, I guess, a little bit of gameplay in there that you can make decisions, and what you say matters, but it's really not that much that you have to include. Well, victory was going to come regardless, so we'll take it. The question is, how much can you put up with that? Because if you do the New 52 for just Batman, you've got at least several other universes that you would have to somewhat include. Shaman and Warlock now. Because if you assume that Telltale Batman is the entire Bat universe, it's Batwing, Robin, Red Robin, Nighthawk, isn't that one of them? Batgirl, Batwoman, every single Robin that I didn't mention. It's the Talons, it's the Court of Owls. Include those in the Batman series too. It's every single bad guy in Gotham. If all of that is one universe that gets potentially made into the playground, probably not all of it gets used in the first Batman Telltale game, but it's in that playground and it may be used later. Well, then you can only, if you break up the DC universe that way, you're only gonna have maybe 6 games, because there's only about 6 universes. There's the way they break it up. If you look on the sides of trade paperbacks, at the top of DC Comics, there are different colors. So if it's a bluish color, that's the Batman universe. If it's a grayish color, that's the Magic universe. If it is kind of orangish, it's more of the Justice League universe. Kind of reddish to orangish, I believe. Because I'm looking at a Wonder Woman one right now. And then if it's green, it's the Green Lantern universe. So like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, anything that's more the Justice League but not Batman or Batman centric is in a Justice League universe. Which the Justice League universe is what DC was before. There's a Superman universe too that's a different color. And that's about it. So you could do 6 Telltale games there and really get into it. And you can start off really well. You could if the Telltale game Telltale Batman, which is not Lego. It's gonna be a mature adult game. If that covers like the Killing Joke, which is almost universally agreed upon as the best Batman story ever, then you've got a great start there, and you could just move forward from that point. But if it's more covering like what's going on right now in Batman, where Batman isn't even actually Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne's mind's been erased and can't get it back for some reason, like that is as bad as going back to the broken Batman, the broken back Batman that happened several decades ago, where it's just not a story that you'd probably want to start on. And there's plenty of Batman stories that you wouldn't want to cover. Yeah, but I think Telltale might be the right way to go about that. Keep a tighter control on the story, be able to introduce characters, and not just the characters that we already know. So many Batman games that's, oh, it's the Joker, oh, it's the Riddler, oh, it's the Scarecrow. Over and over and over again. It's like, come on. Let's see some of the other characters. Let's not focus on the same ones all the time.
Did you bring some fish?
So yeah, Telltale is giving me some hope there. We'll have to see. I haven't seen anything about that game. I also need to play Minecraft Story Mode at some point, but I've sworn off playing any Telltale game until it's completely released. So Minecraft Story Mode will get completely released pretty soon from now, as far as my timeline here as of recording. But that doesn't immediately mean I need to buy the whole thing. If anything, I probably should go do Life is Strange first, because that'll just be cheaper. Yeah, it's all gonna depend on what goes on sale and when.
Enjoy reading.
Am I gonna pull out of this rut I'm in right now on these cards? The Sandman movie, somebody walked out, was fired or quit from working on that, which really doesn't matter anything to me, because having read the Sandman comic books series, that series is way too long for you to do a movie. You cannot even get into the characters and relate to them without going through some of the earlier stories that aren't that connected, and frankly, there's very few of those. The only thing I think you could change from Sandman and not drastically reduce its quality is you probably could get away from it not being directly set in the DC universe when it was released.
There is a lot at stake here.
It is also worth mentioning that Sandman was done as work for hire, so Neil Gaiman, the creator of it's not going to get any money or anything. He'll just get slightly more popularity, but he's already popular enough. So this Sandman movie is simply DC trying to cash in on it, and I just don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do it in a trilogy. I don't think you can water down that story. It's kind of like The Watchmen. The Watchmen movie was a big mess because you can't change or water down the story drastically without irritating a lot of people and making it worse. Because movie producers, frankly, are just not good writers. And movie writers are not good story writers either. Not when you're talking long-term things. So, like, The Watchmen was missing an entire side story in which a kid was reading pirate comics because it was a criticism of comics potentially getting too violent. Even though the Watchmen comic book is just straight up violence the whole time, and it's a self-criticism or fear. There were entire characters that played major parts that were moved. So it's not the fact that in the comic book a giant squid was genetically engineered and dropped so that through a teleporter so that they thought there was an alien invasion was happening. That's not the one change that really matters. It's a lot of other changes. And for what it tried to do, I don't think the Watchmen movie is even like an awful attempt. I think it was a huge budget attempt with a lot of money behind it. You can see by the vast number of songs that were put in it. It just, they put too much emphasis really on playing noticeable songs, which they should have spent their budget somewhere else. But it seemed like a huge budget thing, and it's still not successful. It's still not going to be successful that way. I think they could have censored out the whole blue guy, I forget his name, being naked in the movie because they kind of overemphasized it more than the comic book does. The thing about comic books is they can be subtle and they can be tantalizing and titillizing, maybe. It may be one of those words is the right one that I mean to use. So when somebody in a comic book draws a cheesecake picture of Superwoman or Power Girl. Yeah, Power Girl is a good example. When they put her in a ridiculous outfit and that they have it so that you can see both her breasts and her butt in the same shot because she's twisted in an unhuman position. That's really more like a artistic rendering attempt than something that could be shown in a movie. What you're assuming, or what I assume when I look at one of those images is, well, this is an exaggeration much in the way that statues and paintings have long since been over-exaggerations of certain features. It's almost like a caricature. If you go on the boardwalk and get a caricature of yourself drawn where you have giant buck teeth and your forehead's too big and stuff like that. That's what they're doing. They're exaggerating. When you're doing a movie, you have to take all that exaggeration out and make it feel real and realistic, or you're going for some kind of surreal avant-garde movie at that point. And if you're not going to do that, and you just have to fully embrace it. And if you fully embrace it, you're doing that at the loss of most of the audience that might actually watch the movie. So, like, for the blue guy who's naked the whole time in Watchmen, most of those scenes in the comic book, from what I remember, cut off at his waist, so you didn't see his bottom waist. So the movie should have cut off at his waist too the whole time and framed him in camera so that it didn't ever really emphasize that. Because it really wasn't a big issue that needed to be replicated. In fact, they could have just had him wear pants the whole time and solved it with a simple sentence that the government told him he has to wear pants or something. Or he gets it that people don't want to see him naked the whole time. I know. But and you really don't see a lot of that in Batman movies. There were Batman versus Robin. No, Batman and Robin, not Batman versus Robin. Batman and Robin movie from several years ago. They had like nipples on the bat suits, and that was a big joke in the series. And I'm sure somebody did that because they were trying to copy what they see in comic books. When the bat suits often are muscles built into the suit for some reason, and that's all the kind of exaggeration you need to take out for a realistic movie, because otherwise it will be too silly. But to get back to the Sandman movie, I mean, you just can't do it. You cannot tell that story. It just won't work. I can't think of a single way of doing it. I mean, you could tell similar stories. You could steal ideas from it. Even some of the other Neil Gaiman things, like Coraline is a movie that was made from a book he wrote. Even those are kind of hard to get a general audience to watch. And I don't think the impact of Sandman works if you don't go the full distance with it in a lot of ways. Should I kill this guy, or let's go ahead and kill this guy. Even the add-on books to the Sandman series don't really help that much. Like, there's 2 add-on trade paperbacks that you can get for Sandman. One's like 1001 Arabian Nights. Or no, it's Sandman Endless Nights is one of them.
I am freed from the
and
curse.
then there's another one. I don't remember what that was called. But even those 2 separate stories feel like strange addendums that don't need to be there. See if I play this and this. This and then this.
Fix anything. Right
This.
on time.
Job's done.
In a lot of ways, it's the same argument as they're trying to do a Ghost in the Shell live-action movie. They're trying to do a Akira live-action movie, and they've been trying to do it for ever, and in a lot of ways it's just the same argument. Anime at its core is an exaggerated art form. There is never, I've never seen in any anime, worst anime I've ever seen to the best anime I've ever seen. I've never seen it where something isn't exaggerated. When you're talking Akira, you're talking theological and sci-fi is exaggerated, violence is exaggerated, lots of things clearly exaggerated there. When you're talking Ghost in the Shell, technology is exaggerated, violence is exaggerated. Ghost in the Shell and Akira are kind of similar, so that's kind of a bad example to bring those two right next to each other. But when you talk romance animes, the emotions are exaggerated. When you talk slice of life animes, the life is exaggerated. The lack of problems is exaggerated sometimes in slice of life things. Like when you're talking like Cardcrafter Sakura as a kids show, the magic is totally exaggerated because magic doesn't exist. The importance of the main character Sakura is exaggerated. Everything's exaggerated to extremes. And so instead of keep repeating myself, how do you get that into a live action movie? You don't. You water it down so much because it's so extreme in anime. It's not the same story anymore. You make it, if you try to water it down, what you do is you make Akira a movie about a kid who has a bike and fights, and that's it. And you take out all the violence and magical abilities. You try to make a movie about Ghost in the Shell, you set it in present time with no abilities or anything, or robots at all, because that's what you're trying to water it down to. Let's see, what do I want? Let's take this guy. It's gonna be interesting at least. I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna take this out. And now, between these three, I don't think he could kill all three of my guys, actually. If he does it right. So, in general, I'm a fan of just leaving things alone. But then, of course, you don't get a market there, and I totally see how anime, if it wants to become successful in the main public's perspective, which I don't think it ever actually will be, and there's always going to be a niche art form, you would want to go live action, because you can't. Even the Miyazaki films don't do that well, and they're released by Disney, and they're as kid-friendly as kid-friendly gets hit around. Like, the most kid-friendly, totally recommended anime for little kids is My Neighbor Totoro. And I wonder how many people I could actually show that to their kids and them not say something or say just no to that immediately.
Safety restrictions offline. Harvesting servos engaged.
So, yeah. I don't know how you do it. The Matrix, in a lot of ways, was the closest movie to, and The Matrix was a complete and blatant rip-off of like 2 or 3 animes. and that they've admitted that they ripped off at least a couple of women. I'm pretty sure they ripped off a couple other ones. And The Matrix was really popular, but nobody's talking about another movie like The Matrix in 2016. We don't get things like that. We get things like Jupiter Ascending instead. Here's this. Here's this. Also damages the minions next to it? Cool.
Overdrive engaged.
Excellent. I shouldn't have put this guy out, should I? We have explosive damage here and we're about to lose him. Alright. Well, this is going to do 2 damage, and then this will do 2 damage. So these 2 4s are gone. This, and this, and this. Explosive trap. And now I can throw this out. Attack here. Throw this out in the trap. So I'm gonna take him from 30 to 0, and he's not gonna be able to take me out. Well, actually, this will be an interesting issue. Yeah, if he can figure out a way to do 1 more damage.
To my side.
He would have won. But he didn't. So he's lost. Nice. And it's not even an American Hollywood issue, trying to get anime to be popular in live action forms. Japan has tried to make live action movies all the time, but they have nowhere near the budget of Hollywood, so they're always very, like, badly made, terrible,
Quickly.
faded copies of the originals.
I will hunt you down.
And that's kind of why anime exists in the first place, is that Japan has no real budget for no big budget Hollywood industry, and because of that, we'll just play as the Warlock again. They hire animators for dirt cheap and don't pay them anything to draw cartoons of the stories they want to tell. Maybe the movie industry itself should just go out of business, but it's just not going to happen.
Gul'dan versus Uther.
At the very least, I think, as long as we have
Your soul
like
shall be
amusement
mine.
parks, we will have at least some small collections of movie theaters. So, and that would probably be 60, 70 years to even get to the point where movies weren't the hugest thing ever. I just don't think that industry is going away. Maybe we should ask ourselves what it was about Deadpool's rated R movie that got it so much sales. Because there's a comic book movie that came to life and worked after so many comic books haven't. I think a lot of the reason why Deadpool's a success is simply they wanted to make it a success. The main actor of the of the movie loved Deadpool, knew who the character was, really knew what his inspiration was. And I have heard actors argue that if you're a good enough actor, you shouldn't know or care about who the character is at all. That you shouldn't have to have any interest in that aspect. But I just don't agree with it. I think passion needs to exist in every single person if you want to make something as good as it can be. Yeah, if you told me to go act as some Marvel character I didn't know, and then you told me to act as some DC character I did know, I would assume I would do better at the DC character. But that's not just the actor, that's also the director, the story writer, the producers, everybody involved has to either know and love the story or just get out of the conversation. And then of course Hollywood has the problem of a Me Too syndrome where everybody wants to put their hands in the pie and have some creative input even though they shouldn't. And so a strong-willed director is what you would want. Somebody who's going to tell them, no, we're going to follow my vision and only my vision, and hopefully his vision is good. The director's vision is good. Honestly, I'm surprised more romance animes don't get made into Hollywood big budget stories, but I think the problem there is the romance stories usually have a tendency to go on as long, if not longer, than actual romances, so they're not suited for 2 hours. They have a tendency to have too many too many funny sequences where they slightly miss each other or something gets in their way. And I bet really when you get down to it, you could steal the same story and not attribute it at all and never get caught. Because if the story is a guy and a girl fall in love and that's the basic gist of it, it's real hard to prove, well, you stole that thought from me. How do we want to do this? Let's go ahead and get rid of this guy. And end our turn here. I mean, I know why the horror movies don't really get taken, or the sci-fi movies really don't get taken. The kids movies, nobody cares about kids movies in Hollywood. It's a shame. I would assume the Lego movies that go direct to video and the Batman and DC movies that go direct to video, I would really have thought that they would have just by default been released on Saturdays or something in some way or some aspect that would let's see. Let's go ahead and kill this guy.
Job's done.
You'd assume that would play at some point, that those direct to video things would do. But then there is inherently a problem with putting a bunch of kids in a movie theater. Even if you're talking 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, really old kids, teenagers, they're not going to be quiet, they're not going to be interested, they're going to run off. It's just... So I think the movie theaters probably just rightly have chosen to say we don't want them. They're not welcome at all.
Reporting for duty.
Alright. Do I want to kill this guy? Or do I want to do this? And then this? And then end my turn. So this guy will take out this guy if they don't do something. Well, actually, I may just lose here. Yep, I'm just gonna lose here. Well, sadly, I'm out of things to talk about, really. I mean, I can continue on this rant about movies somewhat. I haven't watched a movie in a long time, so I don't even have anything to say about new movies. I need to watch the new Star Wars movie. That's about it. So I need 2 more victories here. That would get us 60. That'll put us at 8270. So in theory, I could buy 82 packs, which still can. I suspect here on the Friday, in a couple days for me, that will stop being the case. And so I'm just gonna play off screen. It'll give me an opportunity to listen to podcasts. I've done this poorly. I should have totally had 3 or 4 victories under my belt before I started recording so you could see the victories. But whatever. Well, you still wouldn't see the victories, but you could see me finish a quest. That's going to be it for this recording, though. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps me out. Let me know in the comments what you think about Hollywood or my perspective on it. If you want to support me, which would be greatly appreciated, and you'd still probably be the first one, click on my name, Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Actually, it says support, and above it, it says support this channel, but I've trained myself to say it says support this channel, and I have no idea what it says in other languages. But if you click that and make a donation, I will get the money, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, and down below is a bunch of social media links to friend and follow me, so follow me on all those services. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.